One day, Coyote found a human baby. Now, I really don't know where she found this human baby. It may have been that a mother was out hanging up laundry and the baby fell out of its basket, crawled away into the weeds. Or maybe this was a baby whose parents didn't take good care of it. Or maybe they were cruel to it, and so the baby ran away, and Coyote found it and took it home. I don't know, but it was a human baby, and she stole it someplace. "I'll take that baby home with me," and so she did. Now, Coyote already had some little pups, and they played with it. She nursed the human baby, and it got fat on Coyote milk. And then it started in on the dried mice. Crunchy, delicious dried mice. That human baby got fatter than the Coyote pups. They were just ribs and tails. But they didn't care. They played with that human baby, and they jumped at it, and it jumped at them. They nipped at it, and it nipped at them. And they all slept together in Coyote's bed, in Coyote's house. But the child was always cold there because it didn't have any fur. And it kept whimpering and shivering. And one day Coyote said, "What's wrong?" "Well, I'm cold," said the human child. I'm really cold. You see, I've got all these goosebumps coming up on me." "Why don't you grow some fur?" said Coyote. "I can't grow fur. I don't know how," said the human child. "What do you want me to do about it?" said Coyote. "Well, why don't you build a fire? That's what human mothers do when their children are cold. They build a fire." "I could do that," said Coyote. And so Coyote set off towards a human village. She waited until she saw some grown-ups go into the house, and she knew a fire was burning because smoke was coming out of the chimney. So she rushed in the door and grabbed a burning stick out of the fireplace and headed out the door and towards the hill. She was carrying it in her mouth, and as she held it, the sparks blew back over her shoulder. And by the time she got home, there was a fire burning on all 10 hills. The coyotes had to run. They had to run like crazy, the human child too, and jump into the river. There they were, all the coyotes in the river, with only their noses sticking out. The human child was there too. And Coyote said, "Well, are you warm enough now?" When they came out of the river, everything on their side was burned up. It was just ashes and soot. And so they went across to the other side of the river, where their fire hadn't been. And they found a new hole, and they made their home there. But it got colder and colder, and started to freeze and rain, and then the rain turned into sleet, and finally it turned to snow. And so one day, while the coyotes were asleep, the human child got up and said, I don't think I'm going to stay with these coyotes anymore. They're too dirty, and they're all flea-bitten. I think I'm going to go to the human village and try to find a family to take me in." Now the child looked around for something to eat, because he knew it would take it about 3 days to get to the human village. And it needed to pack lunch. So there was a pack, and the child took some venison jerky and put that into the pack. And then the child found the things that coyotes like best. Crunchy, delicious, dried mice. The human child put 4 or 5 dried mice into the pack and headed for the village. It walked all through the rest of the day, and when the evening came, it had to find a place to sleep. It came to a ledge, and so it put some sand up onto the ledge and made a nice soft bed, crawled up there, and went to sleep. Back at Coyote's house, the coyotes were waking up. The little coyotes looked around and they said, "Where's Two Legs?" Coyote looked here and there. "Where is that child gone to?" And then she said, "Oh, there it is, sleeping on the ledge where I keep my things." And all the coyotes went out to hunt. The human child woke up the next morning and walked and walked. It stopped for lunch and ate some of the venison jerky and one of the dried mice. And at the end of the day, it needed to find another place to sleep, and so it went into a cave. But it was hard in the bottom of the cave, so it went back outside and broke off some pine boughs and laid them in the bottom of the cave, crawled in there and went to sleep. Back at Coyote's house, the coyotes were waking up. The little coyote said, "Where's Two Legs?" Coyote looked all around. "Where has that child gone to?" she said. "Oh, there it is, sleeping in my sewing basket. Why is that child sleeping there, I wonder?" Then all the coyotes went out to hunt. The next morning, the human child woke up and ate the last dried mouse and walked all through the next day until it came to the human village. But as it walked into the village, the human children were frightened by it because the human child looked so dirty and its hair was all greasy and full of fleas, and so they threw stones at it. And the child crawled up under somebody's porch and waited until all the other children had gone inside for dinner. Then it crawled onto the porch and lay down in front of the door. And it wasn't long before a mother came out and found the child lying there, picked it up, carried it in, laid it in front of her fireplace. And that child became her human child. Back at Coyote's house, the coyotes were waking up. The little pup said, "Where's Two Legs?" Coyote said, "Oh, my child is gone. My child is gone." She ran outside and she barked and she screamed and she yowled and she said, "Come back, come back." And some people say that when you hear a coyote crying in the middle of the night, that is what the coyote is saying. She's saying, "Come back, and bring me back my dried mice."